All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for an ML Sports Take brought to you by our great friends at Empower Federal Credit Union, Bryant and Stratton College, and Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. The Bills sneak out another win against the LA Chargers, and if you watch my first half recap video, I thought a lot of the story, for the Bills was their defense in the first half, making Justin Herbert really uncomfortable, and the Bills being able to use a balanced offensive attack. They were able to run the ball for the most part between Moss and Singletary. They actually ran it probably a little bit better in the second half, and we'll get to the stats on that a little bit better a little bit later. They were a little bit better in terms of just overall, getting after it. Tremaine Edmonds, I thought, was the best player in this game, first and second halves combined, and he was fantastic in the first half and didn't really miss a beat in the second either. But they were just better across the board, I thought, defensively. And then all of a sudden in the second half, I don't know what it is after halftime with this team. And you saw the graphic put up by CBS. This team allows so many points. They're in the top 4 in the NFL in terms of allowing the most points after halftime. And it was no different in this particular game. Now, it was still only 11 points total, but the feeling was that it was going to be more. And the Bills were giving up a ton of chunk yardage. The Bills, again, went back to really having problems on defense, not being able to get off the field on third down. And then, for one reason or another, the third quarter they played a little bit better than they normally have this season. But the fourth quarter looked like the third quarter for this Buffalo Bills team. I mean, they just could not. Both teams didn't. They seemed like they were playing hot potato with the football. They didn't want to win the game. They were both trying to lose it. And at times, the Bills went back to a little bit of a conservative offense, running the football after you kind of drill it down their throats a little bit. You trick them with the Moss runs on the left side. Singletary had the bad fumble, but then he had a big run after that. Right there is maybe where you do a play action rollout and you hit Diggs, or maybe you go deep to Davis or go over to the slot and Cole Beasley. Something else besides another run. And the Bills, kept running the ball, short passes on the sideline, this and that and the other thing. The big story for both teams: undisciplined football and horrendous mistakes and awful turnovers. The Bills had 3 turnovers in 7 plays in the second half. And when the Chargers scored to make it 24-17, they had a 7-play, 36-yard drive. Josh Allen with a horrific fumble. He basically lost the snap, and then he tried to kind of grab it once and then grab it again and run with it, which we all know you don't do that. You got to fall on the ball. The Chargers get the touchdown. The Chargers kept getting the ball back, and you thought to yourself, the defense keeps making plays. How many more do they have to make? Well, credit them in the fourth quarter as the game went on. Trey White with a huge interception, and obviously the Bills getting a field goal with 3:26 left was a huge, huge play. But think about now in the last couple of minutes. This, to me, was the worst half of football in a Bills game that I've seen between both teams, the Bills and their opponent. The Bills-Jets had some bad moments. The recent Bills-Jets game. The Bills and the Dolphins at times. Bad first half. Okay. This game was putrid in the second half. I mean, my eyes were hurting watching the game. I just had to get this thing to end. And just think for a second how many awful mismanaged plays were in this game by both teams. Think about how many mistakes and penalties and turnovers and all the rest. Ed Oliver, for example, with a completely just an inexcusable play with a roughing the passer call. And then the next play after that, Ed Oliver jumps off sides. You had the Bills with the Hail Mary. Look at the last possession by the LA Chargers. As if they didn't have 2 weeks to prepare for a Hail Mary after the Hail Murray. The Chargers, now credit Leslie Frazier because he actually brought the house a lot in the second half as opposed to the last play against Arizona and frankly the last drive where he did not bring an extra guy. He didn't bring an extra blitzing safety, maybe a Micah Hyde who's fast as hell. In this game, at least, he did bring the house against a rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert, and you saw a lot of that pressure create Herbert to be uncomfortable. But Herbert still got away and bombed it down the field, and the Chargers catch the ball inside the 5-yard line. I mean, what is it going to take for the Bills to knock the ball down? Is it to the point where the Bills literally have to take Gabe Davis, a tall wide receiver, and just put him down there? I mean, is that what this is coming down to? It may be. I have no idea what the problem is with the Bills secondary. Now, today, they brought the house. They still gave it up. Against Arizona, they didn't, and they gave it up Again, it was DeAndre Hopkins going up and timing the play and making a great play, but something's got to give. So the Bills give up the Hail Mary. Then inside the 5, the Chargers have no timeouts. No timeouts. And they run the ball. And they wasted like 20 plus seconds by running the ball with no timeouts. Also, rewind way back to the end of the first half, the LA Chargers were absolutely clueless in terms of game management, burning timeouts, play calling. They didn't know, formation penalties. The Chargers in the second half had 12 men on the field. I mean, this game in the second half was absolutely putrid. Now, I want to dive into the box score a little bit, dive into some of the scoring plays. Obviously, the Bills in the first half, the Dawson Knox play from Josh Allen, the first touchdown, was a great play, great throw, awesome concentration back of the end zone for Knox to catch the ball. The Bills really backtrack after that for a little while. Gabe Davis, though, gets in the action with that awesome play. Allen, the quick little screen to the right, the wide receiver screen. Beasley ends up throwing it. Awesome play there, awesome play calling. I wasn't a fan throughout the game of the read option calls. Allen obviously tweaked his ankle a little bit, planting it down on the ground. And, of course, a defensive player comes up, and that could have been really, really bad in terms of Allen, but he shook it off. It looks like he's okay because he was running all over the place again in the second half, which, I know he's athletic. I know that you can catch the defense off guard sometimes. I know he's a big quarterback and he can take a bunch of these hits, but I'd rather limit the amount of hits this guy takes. I mean, he's your franchise quarterback. Without Josh Allen, you saw Matt Barkley go right in there, and obviously a completely blown play. I think it was Williams who kind of went to the right, and they just let a Chargers D lineman just run through. I think it was Bosa actually on that play, but Allen is far superior than Barkley. I mean, they cannot afford to lose Josh Allen if they're going to try to make some kind of a playoff run and win this division. But Allen was overall, he was kind of hit and miss. I mean, he had that really awful interception in the second half where he just throws off the back foot. The safety is right there. I mean, you can see that the secondary, it's packed with players. It's basically help all over the board with a safety, and Allen just chucks it up there. I mean, those are the kind of plays that Allen has just got to eliminate. We still have not seen him eliminate those chuck the ball up plays. Again, the fumble that he had today, right with the snap, he tries to grab it a couple of times and doesn't fall on it and tries to grab and run it. Those are the Allen plays that make you go, whew, I don't know if this guy's a franchise quarterback. And then in the fourth quarter, we've obviously seen him make a ton of plays. He was an MVP-type quarterback for the first 4 weeks of the season. So, we're riding this roller coaster with Josh Allen, and clearly there's a lot more ups than downs. I understand he's way better than anybody they've ever had, since Jim Kelly, and I get that. But, man, Josh Allen showing today, again, a lot of bad mistakes in terms of chucking that ball up in the fumble as well. I was really impressed with the Bills, even though at times I thought they could have gone away from the run game and tried to throw it a little bit, not as conservative, late, go win the game. When you're up 7, go win it. But they were able to run the ball a little bit better today, and I credit the offensive line. I credit a healthy offensive line. When you on the left, I know Cody Ford being out's huge, but when you have Dion Dawkins, and you've got Feliciano, and you have Mitch Morse from left to center, and then you got Williams on the right side. That's a really solid offensive line, and they were able to get between the tackles a little bit today. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary today, it combined over 130 yards, which really did help, I think, in the second half, maybe wear down at times the Chargers' defense. I thought that was a pretty big deal. Again, Allen didn't have that great of a game. Justin Herbert threw for over 300 yards, but he had the interception and took a bunch of sacks. I credit the Bills' defense. I think they made a bunch of really, really good plays, take out the Hail Mary, take out a bunch of stuff from penalties and all the rest, but every single time the Bills offense made a mistake, Allen throws a pick, etc., absolutely, positively, the Bills defense came up with a lot of stops. The bottom line is, of course, the Bills are not an elite team. They let the Chargers hang around, a team that's probably better than 3-8 offensively, but across the board, not because of Anthony Lynn and game management and all the rest and turnovers. But the Bills are 8-3, 5-1 at home. You move on and you try to go win the division. ML Sports Take.